All right, let's bring in CBS Sports NFL insider Jonathan Jones. And Jonathan, Bills break the bank on Von Miller here. Your impressions of this deal?
Well, listen, if you're a pass rusher, this is a very good year to be a pass rusher in the NFL. We're seeing so many deals flying off the shelf, and it's not just a good year to be a pass rusher. It's a good year to be Von Miller. It's a good year to be Von Miller after he really didn't play for half of the season. He gets dealt, of course, from Denver to the Los Angeles Rams, as Denver had an eye on the future. The Rams had an eye on that Lombardi that they ended up winning. And the Rams did a very smart thing by sort of load managing Von Miller throughout the season. Sean McVay was saying, hey, we don't need Von Miller in November. We need him around Christmas time. We need him in January. We need him on the football field in February. And of course, he played fantastic there in the playoffs. That playoff appearance for him and that experience surely made him a whole lot of money. So I understand that the deal right now is being reported as a 6-year, $120 million deal. I would be very surprised if he saw the end of that contract. Of course, the contract that he signed after his rookie deal with the Denver Broncos, he saw the end of that one, but he will be 33 in about 10 days or so. That would take him up to 39 years old. The Bills didn't have a ton of cap space, but we all knew that they wanted to get a pass rusher there for their team as they try to get over the hump and back into the Super Bowl for the first time in 30 years. So a huge, huge deal here for Von Miller and the Bills.
No question about it. He goes from a team that won the Super Bowl to a team that has Super Bowl aspirations. Earlier in the day, Chandler Jones to the Raiders, now Miller off the board to the Bills. So what is it looking like on the edge rusher market and free agency for teams that are looking to put money on a player to get after the quarterback?
Well, I mean, this sort of kind of does it, right? Randy Gregory went to Denver. DeMarcus Lawrence already went back to Dallas. You mentioned Chandler Jones. Yannick Ngakoue just got dealt to the Colts. And now the big ticket item here with Von Miller. And the Buffalo Bills have been really strengthening their defensive line for years now. You go back a couple of drafts ago, they drafted A.J. Epineza. And then last year's draft, the year before that, they drafted Ed Oliver, a defensive tackle. They just picked up his fifth-year option. Then it was A.J. Epineza. Last year, along the defensive line, they got Boogie Basham in the second round. And that, of course, had been followed up by blanking on his name right now. But that is what the Buffalo Bills under Brandon Beane have been trying to do for some time here. They've wanted to get after the quarterback. Greg Rousseau, of course, was their first-round pick out of Miami. Of course he was. And so what they want to do is you go back to that Kansas City game in the AFC title game. And obviously we know that Patrick Mahomes, they got the ball first, and they had the ball last when they won in overtime. Well, they only sacked Patrick Mahomes twice in that game. You have to be able to affect the quarterback. Look at what we've seen here in the AFC West with how the Chargers traded for Khalil Mack. You mentioned Chandler Jones, obviously, and the Raiders. Kansas City already had their pass rushers, and the Denver Broncos getting Randy Gregory to team up there. So it's well known in the AFC. That's where the passers are. That's where you have to affect the passer. You have to have a quarterback on your defensive side. You have to be able to affect the passer. The Buffalo Bills just made themselves better with this move.
All right, Jonathan, so that's the Bills' perspective on it, getting after quarterbacks. There are plenty of good ones in the AFC. But with regards to the Rams, they were set to have the inside track on keeping Miller. What does this mean for their offseason plans?
Well, it was always going to be a little bit difficult for the Rams because, again, as I mentioned with that Super Bowl run that Von Miller made with them, he made himself some money. And so, there was a report out there that Dallas Cowboys had a lot of interest in him, but he had to, quote, they had to meet his financial expectations. Very clearly, the Buffalo Bills, by virtue of a 6-year, $120 million deal. Again, another caution, have to wait to see the structure of that. But listen, Les Snead had to know that there was a very, very good chance that he wasn't going to be able to afford Von Miller. And so there should be plans in place. Those plans will unfold and will be revealed to us. But I would have to believe that in the past 24 or so hours, it became rather evident to the Los Angeles Rams, especially after the Cowboys lost out on Randy Gregory, that the price was going to be too high to keep Von Miller in L.A.
Jonathan, there's a lot of strong teams in the AFC. Where does this stack the Bills with regards to Super Bowl contenders coming out of the AFC?
Yeah, it's difficult to assess that right now when everybody on paper apparently in the AFC got stronger in the past couple of days, right? But when you look at the Bills, they're very clearly, again, the favorite in their division. You're going to take them over Miami, certainly going to take them over the Jets, and you're going to take them over the Patriots, who so far have been mostly standing pat in free agency. You look elsewhere, the Chiefs. Listen, I'm betting on the Chiefs until they show me otherwise. I think a lot of us, respectfully, but also disrespectfully to the Bengals, think it was a little bit of a flash in the pan. Okay, show us again next year before we're picking you to be in the next Super Bowl. And yeah, the Chargers, well, we can believe in the Chargers enough, and they certainly did get better with J.C. Jackson and Khalil Mack. This is also still a team that missed the playoffs last year. So I have the Bills right behind the Chiefs. But when we're talking about right behind, I'm talking about a photo finish. I'm talking about just right down the line at Churchill Downs in terms of the Chiefs. They have been able to do it. They were the ones that got one on the Bills in the playoffs last year. That's the only reason they have the edge on the Bills in my book.
Our thanks to Jonathan Jones, a CBS Sports NFL insider, on the heels of Von Miller to the Bills. 6 years, $120 million. This is what Buffalo's getting. A two-time Super Bowl champ, did it with Denver. And last year with the Rams, he was the MVP of that Broncos Super Bowl win, led the NFL in pressures after joining the Rams with 18, and he joined them after week 10. Von Miller getting a lot of money there.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.